Hello folks, I'm back out in the garage again today. As you can see, last video left off with me saying that I was going to have to get somebody to help me pull the seat out of this truck, and my son-in-law Carl came over Saturday or Sunday and helped me out pulling that out. And so today I'm going to get this other sill plate off, get the floor mat out, and see how bad the rust is on the floor of this truck. Hopefully won't be too bad, but never know what we find. But it's got a lot of other junk in there that I gotta box up and save or throw away or whatever I gotta do with it. But I'll bring you along for the ride. By the way, I wanted to give you guys a tip, just in case you hadn't thought of it. Doing body work and stuff like that requires some pretty kind of specialty tools, and like a DA sander and a body file and things of this nature. And sometimes those can get pretty expensive. I mean, even at Harbor Freight, the body file, the air file is as much as $100 to or more. And just wanted to let you know, sometimes you can go to a pawn shop and somebody has sold one of those to the pawn shop and might be a pretty good air file. I just wanted to show you the score that I made the other day. Let me bring you in and show you this. It looks terrible. It doesn't look pretty, but here's the air file I bought. The only thing it needs is the pad on the bottom, and I can get those, I think, 5 or something like that for $19. But this is I'll bring you in close so that you can see that. It's a dual piston Viking. These are said to be some of the best air files on the market, used by most body shops. They usually run around $200 brand new. This one is older. It ain't pretty, but it works just fine. I paid $20 for it. So just a thought, whenever you're out and about someday looking for some specific tools, stop by a pawn shop. They might have something there, and they're usually willing to haggle. They had this one priced at $30, and I got them down to $20. So just a thought. Not sure how well you can see in here, but like I said, there's a lot of junk in here. When Carl and I pulled the seat out the other day, I found, I think it was 85 cents worth of change underneath the seat. So I guess that's my tip. Anyway, I'm gonna pull this sill plate off here, and we'll then clean the truck out down here and see what we've got. Pull that rug out. This is kind of funny, cleaning out the underneath where the seat was and under the padding in the floor mat. I found $1.72. Fellas, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever run a little short on cash and you need yourself an adult beverage or something like that, this might actually get you one. I don't know. With today's market, who knows? Okay, folks, I've got it kind of cleaned out. It's not perfectly clean, but it's vacuum cleaned and brushed the best I can get without having a whole lot of light. I can definitely do more in here, but anyway, I wanted to get you in and show you what I've got here. This is the driver's side, and you can see that the rust is actually up on the pillar there. And what happens with these things is, I don't know if you've ever seen this or not before, but along this gasket here and this rail, there's holes that are purposely there for drainage. And what happened to this one is that those holes had become completely filled with dirt. So the water couldn't go anywhere. There's another one. And there was probably one right there that is now rotted away. So I'm going to have to get in here and clean this all up real good to assess what I've really got going on here. Don't know if I'm going to get that done today or not, but definitely has some rust on the floor, but I don't think, don't hold me to it, but I don't think that it goes all the way through. We will find out. Up in here, of course, is no problem. There's a little bit of surface rust in places every now and then right down along in here is some pretty crusty stuff too. There was a whole bunch of dirt in there. I guess Dad getting in and out of the truck with his feet. The sand probably came down into here and just piled up. It was just all underneath that black piece of plastic, that threshold. Right in there, doesn't look real promising. So I'll take you over to the other side because it's a little bit worse. Okay, I'm on the passenger side now, or drinker side, as Vice Grip Garage calls it. The rust on this part of the panel isn't nowhere near as bad, but the floor is a little bit rustier, and it was, as you can see, it was also quite wet. It's dried out a little bit now from vacuuming, and there's quite a bit of crusty. So if there's any place that's going to have holes in the floor, it would be this side, I would think. Even up in here, you can see some bubbling of rust. And then, of course, this rail, this attachment point for the gasket here is rotted out over here where that hole typically is. No, there's a hole right there. So that hole's still good. But right here is it's gone. It needs to be built back, and then from here to here isn't very solid either. So I'm definitely going to have to work with that. But one thing I'm now noticing, I thought that this was where two panels came up together and that there were two pieces to that, but there's only one. So it's just this side of the panel curves, and this is a more gentle curve, not a hard bend. Comes up and forms this rail for the gasket. And then everything else is welded together, I guess, underneath and seam sealed. So a lot of this seam sealer I'm going to have to dig out in order to get all the rust cleared out. And then after that's cleared out and everything's painted and taken care of, I'll have to put more seam sealer in. But yeah, like I said, even back here where that hole was, as you see, there's not much left of the metal there surrounding it. But this part of the cab, right in here, it's got some pretty heavy bubbling, but at least it looks like bubbling. It might just be from where the metal is crinked and from the bends that it had to be made there. You know, there's some pretty. But like I said, we'll go after this pretty aggressively with the surface conditioning tool, wire brushes, and everything else to get it knocked out. There is a hole here in the rocker panel that will have to be repaired. I don't really think it's that bad all the way around it. So, but what I might do is make a patch that goes from, say, here and follows this down along and then up to here. And that should take care of all of it. And then I can actually get in there when all this has been cut out. I can actually get in there and clean all the debris that fell down through the hole and make sure there's no dirt, and if there's any weep holes, I can go ahead and clear those out as well. So I'll bring you back. Okay, ran the Cheek Poker 5000 around on the rusty areas. I found things that I really didn't want to find. This is the driver's side that didn't seem to have any rust holes, but yet I've got rust holes here where there were no screws previously. There was no screw hole there. That's a rust hole. Rust holes, rust hole, rust hole. All this whole corner is pretty weak. That's a screw hole there. Right there, that's the screw hole for that black piece. Everything else looks relatively intact on this side. I haven't got way down in here yet, but I did. You can see it's kind of shiny there. I did get the wire brush in there. That's a pretty stout wire brush, so if it would have had holes, I'm sure they would have. Look at that. Okay. That's for the drain hole. Right there. So that's all pretty good. The area here on the rocker doesn't have any holes, but it's pretty pitted. I might be able to get away with that, but I do still have to build this lip a little bit. So we'll have to see what I do there. I may just go ahead and cut it out and replace it. But like I said, this corner here, where it raises up, is definitely going to have to be addressed in some way. I definitely don't want water from under the truck coming up inside. And then back here, let's get the light turned around. Back here where I was afraid I would find rust, I did. There's several holes in there. So those will have to be addressed too. Because that's the pillar that holds the door in place. You definitely don't want that rotting out. Okay, so now we go to the other side. Put the light over there. Walk around the truck. Okay, so this side's another story. We've got holes in this bend here as well. I only had one small hole, that was right there when I first started, or I believe it was that one, that I poked with a screwdriver, but a lot more popped up when I hit it with that wire brush. And this hole down here just had, if you remember right, just had just a little tiny rust hole. Look what happens when I hit it with the brush. And this hole got huge. So, and there's one hole here. Right there. That has to be repaired. This is where the weep hole was. And then up in here, we're all pretty good. The pillar has no holes. Where does it? Well, that is a hole there, I do believe. So I have to address that too. But the pillar's not as bad as the other side. What is that? I can't tell in this light. Yeah, that's a hole right there. Right at the seam sealer line. There's a hole right there too. These things are small. If you don't look hard, you don't see them sometimes. The rest of it turned out pretty good. All up in there. From what I could tell, I wasn't poking any holes nowhere. There's a lot of sand in here now, or rust and paint that I flaked off. But all that looked pretty good. Some areas wouldn't even let paint go. I rode on top of that for quite a while trying to get that paint off of there, but it was fine. So we do have a little bit of reconstructive surgery to do. Nothing in there. I didn't hit these up in here. I didn't have my light in here. I couldn't run the light and the well grinder at the same time. But I will address those. I don't think that they're going to be any problems. But like I said, I do have some work to do on this. Yeehaw! Okay. Well, I actually didn't intend to do all that with the wire brush in there, but I just couldn't help myself. I had to know what I had ahead of me. So as you saw, there's quite a bit of rust in there that needs to be repaired as well. So the hard part with that is there's undercoating all on the bottom side of the truck. That's probably what's preserved this truck as well as it has. All the frame and everything is all black. The body underneath is all black. So the worry would be any welding I do, I'm going to have to clean the metal on both sides in order to keep from starting a fire. I work out here by myself. I definitely can't have a fire underneath the truck blazing and put it out, and you just have somebody down there to snuff it out with a rag or whatever. It's going to have to be cleaned off first, and then I'll have to paint everything down in there and then reseal it with more undercoating. One question I wanted to ask you guys was, and get your opinion on it. The truck initially, as you saw, had a rubber mat. Well, I think that rubber mat basically just holds the moisture on the floor, in that padding and wherever it is. But I don't think carpet would hold it that well. I think carpet would eventually dry out if it got some water in it or something, and I could at least, run a fan in there and dry it out. What do you guys think about that? The mats now are, through L&M anyway, they're unavailable. The carpet's readily available. They show about the same price. I think there's a $30 or $40 difference between the two. I like carpet better, for looks anyway, but it is more convenient to be able to just take a broom to the rubber mat and clean it up, and you're done. Carpet, you have to vacuum and do all that kind of neat stuff. Let me know down below what you guys think. I sure would appreciate some advice here. See what you guys think. Do I want to keep it original and put the mat back in, or do I want to go back with some carpet? Let me know what you think, and like I said, if you would, like and subscribe, and please come back and see more. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Bye.